I made $100,000 on Shopify without spending a single cent on ad spend. And in today's video, I'm gonna give you a complete rundown of what I did, how I did it, why I chose to run my business that way, and how you can actually have personal success running an e-commerce business with $0 in ad spend, which is different than any other channel guru or anybody in this space is telling you to do. I challenge you to find another creator that's run a successful e-commerce business and not spent money on ads. Ads are usually the first thing that they talk about, right? But you can do it without ad spend. I bootstrapped a business. I didn't want to shovel out a ton of money, and I generated $100,000 in about 3 years, having this be my first, in my first 3 years as a part-time gig. This wasn't even full-time, which doesn't sound like a ton of money, but the fact that I'm spending $0 to accelerate the growth, it's a ridiculous sum of money, because most people that spend ads, they're not generating $100,000 of income, and their margins are like 30 to 40% less than mine because they're spending so much money on ads, right? There's a lot to be said there. So let's go to ground zero. What I did, and this is gonna be like a copy what I did, because you're more than welcome to. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what my products are, because I don't want you to fully copy what I did, because it's a space that I currently run my business in, and I have to fulfill orders after finishing this video. I'll be honest with you, I gotta go to the post office later to drop packages off. But how did this all start, right? I looked at how sales are generated, and I spent a lot of time up front working on content generation, right? When you spend money on ads, you're putting paid social or paid media in front of people. You're putting paid content in front of them. So what I did is I stepped back and I said, how do I get content that I can make myself that costs me nothing in front of the same people and do it organically? And if I do it organically, I then can be searched and found organically over a very long format. When you pay for an ad, the ad stops being shown when you stop paying. If you create your own organic media in an organic search engine, it has been searched forever. And actually, if it's good media and the SEO is done right, the search results will grow over time, meaning instead of being a depreciating asset that you have to spend for it, you get an appreciating asset that you don't spend any money for. So I actually started my business by becoming the expert in the product line that I sell. How did I do that? I just made a ton of YouTube videos and YouTube content around my business. It cost me literally nothing. I mean, I had a camera, you can use your phone. Eventually, because the business has gone greater, I'm now shooting on a nice Sony camera, but that's just, it's a cost of the business because I've done so well. And I've just created a lot of content. It's easy to create. You can make low effort content and slowly build up a following. Now, you don't need to have 100,000 subscribers, right? The current channel that supports the entirety of my business only has like 17 or 18,000 subscribers, and it supports a 6-figure business, right? And that might sound insane to you, but I've just become an expert in a very niche thing and provide content around a very niche thing. And my product line is the sales pitch for that niche thing. It solves the problem, right? And that's the same thing that you can do. There's no barriers to entry to do this. Very few people do it because it feels like a lot of effort up front and they want to pay to play, right? Paying money will accelerate your growth in a very short term, right? But the growth that you will find long-term, that accelerated growth long-term, is actually much faster if you put the effort and work up front into what you're doing. The content that I started putting out years ago now has accelerated to my growth to this point where I almost need to hire somebody just to manage the growth that I'm getting with zero effort, right? I barely make content anymore because I don't really need to, because the content that I created way back then is snowballing and increasing the customer load that comes to my store. On top of that, I've then built a community that I can actually test products with because I have such a robust community both around the content and the store itself, because I'm solving problems, that I then have free testing, another very expensive part of being in e-commerce. So if you want to do what I'm doing, basically what I did is I found a product that I was interested in. I created a product line around it, right? So I solve problems relative to a niche group of products that are all semi-related, right? An example could be like you could have a camera store. You could sell camera equipment, like GoPro equipment, right? It's really easy to source accessories for GoPros, right? So you could create content around and create a store around GoPro accessories that you sell. And then what you could do is create content around what are the best GoPro accessories, how to use GoPro accessories, examples of use of GoPro accessories, put it out on the internet, and then funnel your own product and create your own ads, but for free, right? And you don't have to spend the ad spend. Now you might say, wow, that's really slow to do it. But the reality is if you're making an extra 30 or 40% margin of profit on your product, right, you only then have to sell one product for the equivalent of like 4 or 5 products for ad spend products, right? So quite literally, you can make less sales and actually have more money in your pocket. So you might have less traction at first, but you're gonna have the same amount of money. And then on the vice versa side of things, when you get further down the line, your total growth will be a lot faster. Now, I've started, when I got into this whole world, I did get into this with a lot of friends. I am now quite outpacing them with profit. They're doing more revenue than I am, but a lot of them are doing quite a lot of revenue and just breaking even and trying to figure out how to get into this realm of profitability where I'm nearing 6 figures of profitability because my margins are so high and I don't spend anything to get in front of people. So if you're looking for a way to kind of like create this infrastructure, it's exactly what I just said. It's creating your own content and spending a lot of time behind a camera and building a business where your products funnel into what you're creating content and they're answering a problem for people, right? I'm gonna use the GoPro example as a core example, and please copy it because it's an easy place to compete and do well, right? There are like 40 relatively well-known accessories to any GoPro if you're going to use a GoPro, and enough people use GoPros that it's a great industry to start in, right? It's niche enough that you're not competing with every camera user, but it's also a large enough market that you could get a lot of sales if you were to really go down that route. The next thing I would do is I would bring in as many test samples as I can. You don't even have to load up on inventory, and then just go make 100 videos, right? How-tos, rankings of the best products, and place yours as the top of the ranking. All those things, right? Make the content. Don't post it yet, just make it. Then bring in some inventory, right? Just not a ton. Don't spend a ton of money. 20, 30 units of each, whatever it is. These should be low enough costs where with $1,000, you can get 20 or 30 units of 20 different products, right? And then start posting your content. It's gonna take time. Grow the following. Over 6 months, you're gonna start seeing the trickle of growth. From 6 months to a year, you're gonna start getting real sales. And then from a year to 5 years, you're gonna be managing product growth because you're going to have such a funnel of engagement and communal growth and sales growth that you're going to think, how do I layer on more products? And then it's going to be this like, oh my goodness, what do I do now because I'm so busy, which is where I'm currently at, right? And it's not luck, right? There's maybe a little bit of luck, but it's just hard work. I would even go as far as saying, I'm not lucky. I haven't had any viral videos. I haven't had anything blow up like that. There's no virality. I know a lot of people are like, just have one viral video and you'll be a millionaire. Well, you can't control that, right? And you're looking at an example of somebody that hasn't done it from virality, right? It's just been hard work and effort and time. I still post videos to this day that sometimes get like 1,000 views on YouTube. You know, it's funny, that might not sound great, right? But that 1,000 views might result in like $1,500 in sales because I converted 15 people from that, right? That's where money is made. That's how you do it. And that's how you spend no money on ads when you're starting an e-com or you're running your e-com. Make your own content, post it on YouTube. And I gave you a pretty solid plan there. How-tos, rankings, examples of use. That's all you've got to do. Rinse and repeat. Put as much content like that out on the internet as possible. YouTube is the strongest piece to do that. TikTok second, Instagram third right now. YouTube is the most important in long-term growth. Go out there, start now, give yourself a year to ramp up. Maybe that sounds scary. If that sounds scary, go spend $100,000 on ads, right? Easy. If you don't have $100,000, you don't have any other options. Go put the time in to get success. That's what you've got to do in this industry. That's what all of us that have some level of success do. It's up to you to start. Today is a great time to start. Get your camera out and record your first video.